In American sports, it is a case of be careful what you wish for, at least for folks that are organizing Super Bowl 48. According to the Farmer's Almanac, the forecast for Super Bowl day could be a storm bowl. Winter bitter conditions are expected, just like organizers pictured on this website. Well, as the preseason ends, football players and the league were supposed to begin a new testing procedure for human growth hormones. Players were supposed to have blood samples taken during training camp. That would be used as a benchmark for the test. Brian Gilmore is a former NFL wide receiver who's played with Arizona, Miami, and San Francisco. Brian joins us now by telephone. First, Brian, let's be clear. There is a difference between the human growth hormone and steroids that we've been hearing a lot about. Steroids are artificially created chemicals that enhance growth, while HGH comes from chemicals found in the body, doesn't have to be injected. Is this something that you've ever considered using in your career?
No, never in my career did I ever consider using anything such as HGH or steroids.
But certainly players, not just at the high levels, but also in the mid-levels, certainly there's a measure of pressure in order to try to get some edge, as we know in all sports, which is the thing that inspires use. Do you know anyone who has made that decision?
I played with a guy in college that actually used steroids, and it was actually quite funny to see somebody have a roid rage. I saw him rip a face mask off another player in one of his rages, and it was it was widely known who used the steroids and who didn't. So it was actually funny to see.
Well, in regards to the testing of former and current NFL players, what is the difference between testing the younger players, current NFL players, as opposed to testing those who have already played and been out of the game?
Well, I think those that have already played and been out of the game, I think it's pretty much a moot point to try to test us. I mean, we're no longer valuable to the league or can offer anything to them, but those that are playing, they can get accurate counts because they're the ones that's actually in competition every single day who will have the elevated levels of all the hormones in their bodies, in that training camp atmosphere. I think that would be a more accurate test of, where the baseline is for the HGH that's produced in your body.
Now, why do you think there's a holdup with this HGH testing process that was ballyhooed at the very top of the season?
As far as I see, it's just power. In my limited research of the NFL, I found out that it was a nonprofit, and in so doing, I think the players are just kind of tired of Roger Goodell acting like it's his particular league and will not delegate the authority necessary to get this testing process started.
Does it also run the risk of the image of the NFL, that if they start doing testing on a large scale, that they'll find that they have more of a problem than they're willing to admit to now?
I'm not quite sure. I would be willing to bet that there are some players that are dirty, that are using drugs, and I truly hope that our Players Association, their main focus is not protecting those that are dirty players. I truly hope it is simply a matter of having a fair appeals process just in case somebody, shows positive and has a valid point for an appeal.
So now, if you mentioned just a little bit of what you would do or what you see as the best way. Finally, if Roger Goodell picks up the phone and calls you today, what do you think is the best way to move forward to resolve this issue once and for all?
I think Roger Goodell should be a part of the appeals process, obviously, but I also believe it needs to be comprised of a board. Mainly five people who have knowledge of HGH testing, including medical personnel, maybe somebody from the legal system, from both sides, the NFL side and the NFLPA side. That way a consensus can be reached on whether an appeal is granted or not granted.
Okay, thank you so much. Brian Gilmore, former NFL player, playing with several teams and giving us his insight on the issue and controversy of the human growth hormone in the NFL. Thanks again for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And thank you for watching Arise America. I'm Gary Anthony Ramsey. We'll see you here again tomorrow.